everyone, welcome back. This is Read 516, week 4. We're going to begin our discussion with some feedback about the forum discussions, discuss upcoming sessions with your student, and some upcoming assignments. Okay, so for some feedback, I must say that you guys are off to a good start on your forum discussions, but I did want to provide some feedback to help your grade. So one of the new things that I would like to present is that I kind of adjusted the participation rubric. So if you look in the course information and rubric block, there is a new rubric for our forum discussions. It is very similar, actually it's the same verbiage. I just kind of tweaked it a little bit, but please take a look at that because that will tell you my expectations for the forum discussions. Please make sure you proofread your post at least 2 times. I noticed there was some errors in some of the posts, and I realized that errors are kind of hard to find, especially when you're reading your own writing, but please make sure there aren't many errors. Also, please refer to your APA manual. I'm not sure if you were required to purchase one for the reading program, but if you were, I would refer to it because there were some errors with your citations. If you do not have an APA manual, there are some good resources online that you can look at, but also beware because some of them may be outdated. One of the things that I did want to mention is that when you post something, it should demonstrate a depth of knowledge, offer insight, and further the dialogue. So think about if you were in a classroom with students and you were to ask them questions about something they had just read. If they were to regurgitate exactly what was in the story or in the text, it really wouldn't show a depth of knowledge. It would show a literal comprehension of the text, but not the critical level that we're shooting for. So please remember as you're writing your posts, this is what we want in our graduate course. Also, a good thing to do is to make connections to previous or current content or to real life situations. So many of you are in the classroom, and I'm sure that some of our discussions you can relate to, and it'd be really nice to share those on our discussions. And that would also show me that you are applying what you are learning to your classroom or to previous experiences. Another thing is to build onto your colleagues' responses. I have to say that you guys did a pretty good job on this, but please make sure that you're not just saying, I agree with so-and-so, but you're also elaborating or maybe disagreeing with them, but you want to, like I said, further the discussion. You want to build onto their comments. Also, I think it's very valuable to create a voice for yourselves. We don't really want to sound like a textbook. We want to make sure that like when I'm reading them, I feel like you are speaking to me. And lastly, please, please, please do not overuse direct quotation or class materials. Remember, the material is there to support your answer, not answer the question for you. So there were a couple that had a lot of direct quotations. If I were to take those direct quotations out, there wouldn't be much content to it. So again, we're using the text and our class materials to support our answers, not answer our questions. Okay, moving on. Okay, so this is just a kind of a snapshot of the rubric that I created. So you get to see this online on Titanium as well. But this is what you need to get a 9 or a 10. So again, this is basically the same thing as the previous rubric. I just formatted differently and the points are a little bit different. So if we're looking for a 10, you're responding to all parts of the activity. You're giving examples, referring to the material when necessary, integrating the comments of others. Also, showing that deep thinking, that depth of knowledge, helping to further the discussion. And please make sure you proofread and your APA citation formatting is correct. And kind of going back to furthering the dialogue, you may even, if you had a question about the text or if you were curious about something, you can also present a question to your peers. That would be a good way of pushing the dialogue and helping others think about the things that are in the text, and maybe questions that you might have, you can get those answered. Okay, so 8 and 7, just looking over here, it's just 8 and 7 is not exactly what I'm shooting for, or what you should be shooting for. I mean, you should be shooting for a 9 and a 10, especially in a graduate course. So, and we definitely do not want our spelling and grammar to distract from the meaning of the message. And hopefully no one will get a 5 or a 6. This would tell me that maybe you were trying to do this last minute, maybe you didn't do the readings. So again, please shoot for that 9-10 range. Okay, so moving on to our second session with your student. I hope you had a good experience for your first one. Let's go ahead and take a look at the required assessments. So we are going to be focusing on early literacy, which is an umbrella term that I'm using to cover phonology, concepts of print, and oral language. So you are required to give the core phoneme deletion test, the core phonological awareness, and an assessment of your choice. So don't forget about this one. So here are some of the options that you have to choose from, and we'll go over this a little bit later. And then looking forward to session 3, which will be focusing on decoding and word recognition. And here you'll be giving the structured phonics survey, the Fry's instant word list, and an assessment of your choice. All right, so let's go ahead and discuss the assignments that are due. You will have your first WAPR due, and this will be due by Wednesday, September 17th by midnight, and this includes all your assessment artifacts. Okay, so also plan your session 2 with your student, which is basically giving those assessments that I told you about, or that are on the practicum assessment guide. And also make sure that you do plan a warm-up portion of it, and also possibly breaks for your student if needed. And good news, no participation activity this week, so there will be no discussion forum. One of the reasons why I really wanted, why I didn't want to give it to you is because I really want you to focus on your WAPR. And I'll go into more details about my expectations for that in just a moment. Okay, yeah, so here we go. So here are some tips for your WAPR. Please make sure you look over the rubric. So that is also on Titanium, and that gives you some expectations that I want from you. Please include a header on your assignment with your name, the student's name, and your student's grade. This helps we know whose paper I'm grading. Consolidate into as few files as possible. So when you are sending me those artifacts electronically, please try to make it as few files. It just helps me with the whole grading process. Make sure you give the required assessment. So this should be something that's easy to do because there is a list that's available for you, and you have access to all the assessments. Also, make sure to submit all the assessment artifacts. Use the sample to help you better understand the expectations of the assignment. So there is a sample, so especially look at the interpretation, which I will go into right now. So the interpretation should be based on the quantitative and qualitative data and correspond to the student's responses and strengths needs in that domain. So what I mean by that is when I'm reading your interpretation, it should be specifically stating their strengths and the needs in that domain. Um, you should leave out comments such as student was tired today, the session went well. So those are not things that you'll be using to create an intervention plan or recommendations for further instruction. You want things that are measurable and things that affect those domains. So if you are saying the student is tired, that would be different. That actually might affect the validity and reliability of that assessment. So be careful here on what you write. And also, please, please, please do not forget to discuss the assessment's limitations, so such as reliability and validity. And as always, if you have any questions on this, please, please, please let me know. I am more than happy to help out with anything. Okay, I'm going to stop right here so I can make a part 2 of this.